tell me, who taught man to become this? That his backbone should be lies, that he should need God when he is needy, that happiness and indifference shapes originality, that who he is what he eventually becomes. Tell me, who gave birth to man before giving birth to his death? Well, walk me down the aisle of our feathers, where huns hum, human beings, traitors, our numbs numb, selling our culture to the vultures, settling for dump and borrowed lifestyles. You know, the ship that carried our worries sank, or more, our own healing go long. Where dawns breed mothering sons, where storms, where voices beyond the sun, where we rise again in colorful flags and broken fashion, where our values stutter under our tongues and summonizing the dead to die and giving birth to a future we have no plans for. And when poverty struck, we slept in graves and buried guilt, only to father blasphemous thoughts, ideas, beliefs, and made caricature of ourselves on our shelves. Now tell me, you know what cultural erosion is? Because this is one, beliefs. You know, our forefathers worshipped drums. Bombs looked like prayer marks on our foreheads, like brooding. We became done before time and x-rays of our future, fracturing the inherited habits of man. Who are we now? I mean, who taught us to become this? A blooming loom of disaster, burning laughter, a crying culture, rich in figures but poor in social values and a third religion? So when we suffer in songs, we mask in our lives only to shelter behind slave masters, to move forward 10 toes ready in splashing blood from the birth of our souls. So religion became our of God, became our system, or human. We were made from his image, they say. That figure became the founder of the art. The coldness in the heat of the sun, even though he's no begotten son. Thank you.
I was asked to explain, like an explaintive, a past business transaction with a dictator. So I time traveled to 2016. Titit, 06 a.m. I knock off the clock as the crow calls on rush to take a bath. But I can't pour water on my knuckles. My uncle's calling, my siblings are screaming about the possibility of this nation turning war-torn, imagining this population of a poor people nation going to war. Run away, board a ferry or a fast ship and go beyond the borders, cause this township might sink. The man on the sea that said no, his butt is still not tired. We run and run and run through alarms. Titit, 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 2016. The candidates have gone away. The country is breaking, but we know it needs fixing. We need the guns away. And even tailors untrained on scissors know this is a serious transition. So we run and run and run. We board a caravan on the bridge towards another alarm. See, the caravan to 2025 was a historic disaster. Saviors needing saving from survivors, breadwinners praying for bread from out-of-stock bakers, graduates hunting jobs from the jobless, and the man on the seat is on a jamboree on the seat. Titit, 2026. We call ourselves woke, peaceful, but we are still weak, walking, trudging from early dictators to an alligator's mouth. So what has really changed? The seat or the person on the seat? So we consume the seat. We feed on it, fed by shameless lying foreheads in head positions they never fit for, yet never got to 4 feet since 2006, even when the nation alarmed for a transition from 2017 to 2025. So what has changed in 2026? The name of the backwood or the names of people dead through the road way back when it was called the back way. So, sir, tell me, what has worked so far. It's so sad to come so far, work so hard, so tired, and there's no return on investment. You see, this was good business, but with the wrong businessman. And our country, our nation deserves better, right? Thank you.
Before anything exists, it imagines itself. That is the first miracle. Not light, not sound, but intention trembling in the dark. Dreams are not fantasies. They are blueprints written in invisible ink, only visible to those willing to stay into uncertainty until it stares back. Imagination is not escape. It is a second sight, a way of seeing what reality does not land to confess. It is the mind remembering that limits are temporary agreements signed in eras already collapsing. The present pretends to be permanent. It calls itself truth, built monuments from habits, name, repetition, stability, but beneath its concrete confidence, the future is restless, pacing like a foe that refuses obedience. Every dream is a risk. To imagine is to fracture certainty, to stand at the edge of what exists and lean forward. Anyway, hope is not gentle. It is an act of exposure, a declaration made without possibility. Possibility is not infinite. It is precise. Where fear and courage glance on the same nerve, miss it, and the world continues unchanged. Choose it, and history blinks. We are taught to be reasonable, to shrink in our vision until they fit inside permission. But the impossible has always moved the world to move forward. We are taught to be reasonable, to shrink in our vision, dragging reality behind.
No, delete that. I come from a circus, a place where clowns wear painted smiles and politics, the elephant in the room, balances on one leg and dances on ropes. A place where costumes are suits and ties, noise and mask, even the silence performed. Our fears were placed on a chessboard, but like pawns, we fall one by one. The king must checkmate. Here the knights are fierce in speech, tamed in practice, growls loudly in public, tamed to purr when it should bite. Survival is performance. So we learn to spit out fire with the tip of our tongues from the pit of our bellies and watch it fade. Where I come from, animals lay in cages, but somehow we are still the ones who never really learned freedom. Here lies our practice backstage until they turned into loyalties. Pinocchio's nose would have won an award. Because you know what? Here lies our... Because you know what? Here lies just don't grow. They perform backflips. But the circus I come from, the older I grew, the more I realized that the tent wasn't made out of clothes. It was stitched from years of silence, woven from patience of people who learned to clap even when the show hurt them. Acrobats bend bodies like a necessity, stretched thin between the lines of hope and prayers, sometimes hanged over uncertainty. Sometimes hanged over uncertainties, but yet still expected to learn perfectly on shifting grounds. And us, the tightrope walkers, we try to cross the thin line between hope and exhaustion. But one misstep, one rise in prices, one new policy, and we wobble again and again, but we still keep walking. The show will end, there will be applause, then silence will spread, and then the masks will fall, and then, only then will we realize that we were the circus. Thank you.
Independence came in 1965, but independence did not complete the mission. We removed colonial rulers. We did not remove colonial habits. We vote, we change governments, we reshuffle cabinets, yet it feels like pouring new water into old bottles. The faces change, the seats change, the corruption remains. because systems survive individuals when they are left intact. We speak loudly about human rights, but what is the right to vote when the leaders we elect silence us for speaking? What is democracy when protest is met with batons, tear gas, and prison cells? What is freedom when citizens are arrested for marching in the streets to express frustration? Police brutality did not end with a new flag, it adapted. And the Public Order Act, a colonial weapon, still hangs on our heads, still used to criminalize dissent, still used to criminalize assembly, still used to remind us that power fears organized voices. This is not accidental. This is design. Corruption does not survive alone. It is protected. Repression does not happen randomly. It is enforced. And this is why neutrality is betrayal. We must choose to live for a cause greater than ourselves, greater than fear, greater than comfort, greater than survival without dignity. Because a nation does not collapse overnight. It erodes when citizens accept injustice as routine. The ballot is the battlefield. And on this battlefield, there are no spectators, only participants and casualties of apathy. You cannot vote in the morning and accept silence by night. You cannot demand rights and tolerate repression. You cannot call it democracy while protest is punished and power goes unchecked. Every election is a confrontation. Every vote is a declaration. Every refusal to engage hands power to those who weaponize it against us. The struggle did not end with independence. It changed uniforms. It changed strategy. It changed language, but it did not end. This country will not be saved by recycled leadership or cosmetic reforms. It will be saved by citizens who understand that freedom demands maintenance. So choose where you stand. History will not ask what we posted, what we complained about, or what we feared. History will ask whether we showed up when the ballot was the battlefield, and whether we fought for the future worth inheriting.
The title of my poem is We Learn Democracy by Watching. We learn democracy the way we learn weather, by watching the sky. We learned it. When radios went quiet before elections, when adults lowered their voices and said, "Don't talk too much," like silence was a form of safety. When mind your mouth meant mind your future. I was still small when fear sat in our living room like a respected guest. No one asked it to leave, we passed it tea. Then 2016 came like a long breath held underwater. People cried in public, men hugged men, hope felt loud, almost scary. We watched power change hands, but not habits. Same suits, new chance, different drivers, same traffic. We voted for tomorrow, got yesterday repackaged. They call it reform, we call it delayed damage. Now democracy looks like queues without answers, youth with degrees folding disappointments into CVs, truth commissions on TVs while rent is due in real life. We watch our brothers drown in the ocean. We watch them torn into missed calls from Libya, then to voice notes, then to memories we cannot explain to their mothers. We watch the ocean become a grave without a name. We learn the cost of hope in currencies no bank recognizes. Democracy du ay wax rek. Jëf muñ ak mun la. Ñu xam ne jàngoro bi am na te fajay garabam ndax déggu du dee. Make we talk through. Democracy no be banner or slogan. You know they feed you when feet dry. You know they pay rent. See, with the tribe belief, but belief no they pay transport. Still we show up because hope na stubborn thing. They said be patient, but patience is expensive when you are young, unpaid, and time is the only inheritance they haven't confiscated yet. We remember things we are told are finished. We carry names we are told to remember. But memories do not obey political timelines. Justice, they say, is a process, but this process feels like a road under construction since our childhood. Still, we show up in poetry slams and coded jokes, in prayers that sound like questions, in art, because art is the only place we are allowed to be honest without permission. So we imagine a country
where memory is not a burden, where justice will not be shy, where youth will not be a room with broken promises, where the history will not be the inheritance of fear. And if imagining is danger, then let it be known. We learn democracy by watching.
Hello, my name is Usman Baro. First of my names, I am her firstborn son, the last poet king, the last very best poet ever to be born to this God-forsaken country. Forgive me. No, please forgive me, forgive my frustrations. It is just that I am pissed. And who won't be? Listen, this country is sleeping and it's waking. Our bounty is sleeping like the Simpsons. Our people are sloppy, tamed by the bite marks of mental slavery, nagging all about. Just turn around. Is this all the reading folks around? If truly the reading folks around to gain entry into the citadel of Greek philosophy in our libraries, put word around, readers speak, but they don't leer around, just ask around, how many books are published for count? House frames nailed to the side of a desk and a dusty chair, go ask around, we've made peace with ignorance. I would just summarize, it is no more a battle of how do we grow because choice is customized. For us, reading is bastardized, made a common merchandise. It is food for thought. We do not rationalize. Few are standard, yeah, but not even close. Standard-wise, nothing new to learn from some of these standard lies. All jokes aside, libraries are not meant for passers-by. Knowledge is not for broken minds. Broken words are not for dampened minds. Wisdom is the healer of imprisoned minds. That is the reason readers are builders. Not here, 60% are whiners. In this village, everyone is a diner. So satisfied in saying he is finer. This crowd is no crowd. This is the crowd with a face like a shroud. Face like a shroud. Hearts beating for only those who shout. Empty in the mouth, but you are broke. This country is a broken masterpiece, perfect in the art of a killer's will. But you can't kill this will. Though I am pissed, but this zeal is inbuilt. That is what made this my 299th masterpiece. But I'll be waiting for your master kiss. Do not forget this. Kiss my poetic lips because I am the last poet king.
When me being naked is not enough for the world to see. When my tears are too transparent that you can't see them rolling. When the riches built in me are too much but not enough to feed me, then what's the ballot, the votes, the future means? By the beginning of time, when everyone thought that I was too weak to be myself, when my people voted for him, for freedom, to free me, right to nationality, for identity, equality, economic independence, for stable growth, too many reasons that was right to vote him at the time. But when time passed on, he became too old to match with my life. So another right thought by my people, they voted for who they thought was Mr. Right. For him, free education, to educate me, he said, grow what you eat and eat what you grow, to feed me. Infrastructural development, my basic needs were given. Maybe less, but at the expense of bleeding me in my sleep. But they voted for him again and again and again. There comes another Mr. Right for change, system change, good governance, freedom of expression, rule of law, democracy. Never again, we said. But it's either too right or somehow right, too early or too late. So is the ballot, the votes, our future? Then what is the future? Is the future too bright or too dark? Will it dry my tears? Will it be healthy? Will it give birth to a healthy nation? Will my people vote right to be right enough to feed me and them? The ballot only reveals what we cast, but the ballot trembles and lives in fear when our votes are no longer our voices. So with too many questions, we point at the center. But we are the center. So who answers the questions? Thank you.
Out of the gutters of brutality, we rise, dragging our wounds like broken drums, moods of subjugations dried on our faces. We wash them with the water of promise. We open our eyes to a vision we longed for, the taste of freedom painted on the ballot. And to the ballot boxes, we march, feet heavy with hunger, yet hearts light with hope. And when the ink stained our fingers, we thought we had stained history, bought our freedom with folded papers. And like Animal Farm, we celebrated, popping baobab, sharing wonjo, whining each other on the streets of Banjul, dancing to the drums, the beats of tomorrow. But tomorrow came with a different song, a dirge written in youth's blood, depth deeper than the river Gambia. Depth deeper than the river Gambia. Promises torn like old election posters. And the Animal Farm we laughed about became the farm that caged us once again. We thought we had signed for change, but what we signed was headache, boats bet, youth's debt, and debt passed from father to son. Yet, hope refuses to die in our throats. We are today, not tomorrow. The master plans of a blueprint yet to be drawn, not in speeches of lament, but in thoughts, in sweat poured into action. For leadership is not born in marble halls. It is carved in the hands of the people, in the result of youths who built industries, who turn art into advocacy, culture into currency, technology into bridges, and consistency into habits, and dreams into schools and hospitals. No more shall we beg to be led. We shall prepare to lead. No more shall we cry at police brutality. We shall silence it with meaningful jobs, opportunities that water the soil, the soul. Together, youths, we rise. A generation of thinkers, a generation of blueprints, a generation of builders, a generation of the greater Gambia. We are the map, young people. We are the compass. We are the hands that will carve the Banjul of tomorrow. Thank you.
You know, there are things that never gets old. On TV, we have the cartoon Tom and Jerry. Sorry, can we do that together? If you know what I'm about to say, just say it with me, okay? You know, there are things that never gets old. On TV, we have the cartoon Tom and Jerry. So sad Jack has to die every time we watch the movie, Titanic, the sunk ferry. Cinderella, no Captain America, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Green Man, X, the Hammer Man, Avengers, the Power Rangers, the Jungle Boy, the Jungle Book, Hakuna Matata, Zimba, the King of Mufasa, Amarendra Bahubali of Mahismati. Like, can you remember that primary school students don't need music to clap and dance? Because with smiling faces, their hearts meet like the palms do. Naughty, 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 naughty. And for the boys, Rambo House is where we learn to respect each other. Playing soccer is what binds us together. Nek ben, ñaar, ñett, ñeent, nek lenn, kii, jóge fële, ñëw, ñu nek ñenn, daw fii, fan, fële, laxu fenn, kenn naan maañoo. Ñu naan ko maañoo, mu naan waaw, waaw. On modern day life, we have a smartphone with this chaotic WhatsApp status where you see a nigga lip syncing a Wally Balago song. Some old lady on makeup trying to celebrate her sweet 16th birthday. Some broken hearts trying to give motivational quotes. Silly motivational quotes like life is like a window. Somebody say, Actasa. Actasa. Next thing you see somebody post something like G and viewers. And in the morning, before I brush my teeth, my FYP feeds me a skit where somebody's mama acts like a rapper, and somehow I could relate because my food knows me more than anybody did. Kazongo, yeah. Turns a frowning face to a smiling face, right? TikTok became a comfort zone for the businessman trying to find pleasure during leisure, for the boring kids at home rehearsing the trending bits. How about the classroom skits? where students act like they fainted just to dodge a test. Scroll once and see something like a loyalty test. Sounds childish, but spicy enough to make us forget about our own heartbreaks. Ngeo, 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 ngeo. Do you remember that ngeo, ngeo skinny cat on TikTok? It nearly got me motivated to go hit the gym because I am skinny too, and my girl left me for that. I'm joking. It's funny. We laugh. It's crazy. We like. Interesting. We share. But the reality is we just want to feel something. The trends became therapy and phone became friends. Somehow they made us forget about life after the screen. Now let's talk about our beds. No, my bed. I call it a safe zone designed in form of a furniture. A therapy with no words. The pillow, the blanket, I wrapped myself. Nightmare, dreams, I built myself from prayers to sleep. I've healed myself. This bed witnessed my tears and my laughter. My happy nights, and yes, my boring nights. I've texted people I shouldn't have, overthought messages that never came, and sometimes we just have to stay at the damn ceiling, thinking about the reality of life, like how to find a better job perhaps, not because we are not content, but because we realize that no billionaire made it through salary. So you just have to find a better one. With million things in head and only the mirror to talk to, the silence of the bed speaks in full sentences, and trust me, we understood. We really do. You know how it feels to be looking for a spoon while people are eating? I just cannot end this piece without dedicating a line to that spoon that always saw up. Makontansio. So I will stop here, not because I've said everything, but because we cannot say everything. What are the things you don't talk about?
It's titled Elections, the long season. This country knows how to pretend. It learned early, it learned it from fear, from hunger, from watching power change. Hands without ever losing its grip. In the Gambia, elections do not start on voting day. They start months before, when walls begin to talk, when every corner wears a face and every promise learns how to smile. When people argue in taxis, in compounds, at the back of classrooms, politics enters weddings. It enters funerals. It sits quietly at the dinner table and waits for someone to speak first. Who is it to speak first? Before the election, everyone is important. Hands are shaken tightly, names are remembered, poverty is acknowledged loudly. Word starts moving faster than truth, every mouth becomes generous, every wound is suddenly visible, every problem is promised tomorrow. But Gambians do not lean forward anymore, we lean back. We listen like people who have paid before and are still waiting for the receipt. We have watched leaders swear on everything except consequences. We have watched slogans grow old before roads do. We have learned that development can be pronounced correctly and still arrive. We know this country. We know it the way a scar knows skins. Before the election comes, before the speeches grow teeth, before hope starts wearing borrowed language. We know how suddenly everyone remembered us, how poverty becomes a headline, how youth become a slogan, how suffering becomes something to campaign with. We have buried too many dreams to clap for every speech. The sea knows our names. It has swallowed enough ambition to start its own nation. And when election comes, we walk about borders and development, but the back way is still calling, still convincing, winning arguments. Still, we will show up not because we are native, but because we refuse to hand the future of exhaustion. And every time we face it, we are really asking one question: how long can a people endure before must finally answer with action? Thank you.
Who remembers April 2000? I mean, when students carry plate cards, not weapons, but bullets answer their voices. Who will count the bodies that fell that day? When the street turned red and silence turned black, who will count the bodies? Who speaks of mothers who never saw their children come home? What of the father who still stand by doorways waiting for footsteps that will never return? Who still call the names of the missing, so that they do not just fade like dust in the wind? Who call the name of Solo Sunday, dragged, beaten, and silenced? A voice that dares to rise, a heart that refused to kneel. Did they tell you what they did to him? Or is his blood just another cigarette buried under the weight of power? They beat Solo to death. They kill him for speaking the truth. But what they didn't know is a man's body can die, not the truth. Where are the ones who vanished in the night? The soldiers, the journalists, the strangers, even the visitors on the list. Those whose faces were erased from family albums, whose graves are unmarked. And why, when the true knocks do those stay shut? Why do they lower their eyes and tell us, forget the past? As if forgetting is healing. As if forgetting is peace. They don't talk about it. They don't talk about the killings. They don't talk about the rapes. They don't talk about the hands that pull the trigger into the chests of the ones we carve in our hearts. Because papers burn and memories refused to die. So rest in peace to Solo Sunday, Dela Haidar, Koro Sise. Should I continue? Keith Ibrahim Amani, Dama Mariam, Haruna Jambe, and the young students of April 2000. Rest in peace to them all. Your blood is not forgotten, and your truth will outlive every silence. Thank you.